You know what doesn't belong in your epic summer plans? Getting burned by your old wireless bill. While you're planning beach trips, barbecues, and 3-day weekends, your wireless bill should be the last thing holding you back. That's why so many people are making the switch to Mint Mobile.
Say hasta la vista to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you.
All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network.
Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts.
Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium service from Mint Mobile for $15. Amy, didn't you say that your sister is on Mint Mobile and loves it?
Yes, it was the best option for her when she finally got her own mobile wireless plan.
Honestly, I think that it might be the best option for anyone who needs their own mobile wireless plan. It sounds amazing.
This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get your summer savings and shop premium wireless plans at mintmobile.com/booktalk. That's mintmobile.com/BOOKTALK.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months. 5 GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Tax and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
My favorite thing about Shipt since I signed up for Target Circle 360? No price markups when I order same-day delivery from tons of local stores. Only a handful of alcohol retailers and items don't count. I won't lie, I've had too much fun being like, markups on groceries? Not in my fridge. Markups on pet food? Not for my DOG. Markups on tools, electronics, home goods, meds? Not in my house. Anyway, it's awesome. Order now at shipt.com/360. Terms apply.
Are you a forward thinker? Then you need an HR and finance platform that thinks like you do. Workday is the AI platform that helps propel your organization, your workforce, and your industry into the future. Workday, moving business forever forward.
Startled by the mysterious figure outside the library, Celaena goes in search of Elena, only to find that the queen is not accessible. With no one to guide her, Celaena pursues her plan to glean information about rebels from Archer Finn, a courtesan Celaena has history with, much to Cale's chagrin. Her plans are interrupted by guard duty, and Dorian's disdain for Cale and Celaena's evolving relationship put the prince and the assassin at odds. Celaena pays an unproductive visit to Kaltain in the dungeons in search for the truth about the king's plans. After the assassin meets Archer for dinner, she reveals the king's plot to kill him, and Archer reveals he may know others who are aiding the rebel cause.
Hi there, we're Book Talk for Book Talk with Jac and Amy, your book besties who take the novels you love seriously.
This is Jac.
And I'm Amy.
And we embrace and respect modern fantasy, romance, and romantasy books written by women. So it is in our nature to analyze these books as we would any other novel we might have discussed in school.
With our 13 years of literary academic training, we use our education to analyze and give voice to reasons you may love or hate today's popular books.
This is part 1 of this week's episode, where we're discussing chapters 6 through 11 of Sarah J. Maas's second Throne of Glass novel, Crown of Midnight. This week, we're discussing chapters 6 through 11 of Sarah J. Maas's second Throne of Glass novel, Crown of Midnight. For a complete list of episodes and chapter breakdowns, be sure to check out our Instagram at the handle BookTok for BookTok.
Before we dive in, let's talk about Spilt. Spoilers, perspective and interpretation, language, and themes.
Spoilers. While our discussion is about Throne of Glass, important context from the first 3 novels in the series will be discussed without spoiler warnings. That is specifically Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and Heir of Fire. This is not a read-along for anyone who hasn't read at least these 3 books. And you will be spoiled from here on out, so please take this as your only spoiler warning. For all other spoilers beyond Heir of Fire and other SJM works, we will keep those in the breadcrumbs and broomsticks area at the end of the episode.
Perspective and interpretation. What we discuss in this episode are strictly our personal interpretation of the text. We do not speak for Sarah J. Maas and in no way know her intentions for her books or characters. We also know our listeners have their own personal views and opinions, and we encourage you to share your thoughts with us because every perspective and interpretation is worth exploring.
I'm going to level with you guys here. Language is going to be a thing. I don't even pretend to try anymore. Explicit language will occur. Sorry, Mom.
Themes. We also discuss some heavy subjects throughout the podcast that can include themes of sex, violence, abuse, depression, self-harm, and death. While we will do our best to give trigger warnings for the darker themes, we will discuss these topics when they are important to the text. Listener discretion is advised.
As always, we love keeping the conversation going because our listeners are so good at finding things we've overlooked or missed completely. You can share your interpretation of the text with us by posting on social media, tagging us in stories, sending us DMs, or submitting to our form on our website. We also post more exclusive content and host live streams for our Patreon supporters. You can find us at patreon.com/BookTok for BookTok.
And as of today, I've posted our first series of book review videos. So you should go to Patreon.
Oh, wow. How many did you post today?
I mean, I only posted one, but I've started the series.
I thought we did one back in... No, we've done one before.
You've done one. I have not.
Oh, so because you've done it, what now? We've officially started the series.
You did it like in January. It is now June.
There was a series that was delayed. Okay, so we're back at doing
We're back at
doing.
This week, we ask ourselves which expectations placed on our characters are new and which have been carried over from the previous book.
Themes we'll see in this section include fate and destiny, mirrors, ownership, and freedom. Before you start, I haven't even run this by you. We're so close of hitting 10K on Instagram. So if you guys have not followed us, please, we are very close. This is desperate pleading. If you think you follow us, double check. Okay, thank you. Love you. Goodbye. But not goodbye. Stick around.
We start this episode in chapter 6 of Crown of Midnight. And I stole Jac's opening line because I have a point to make before her point.
That is my opening line.
This chapter has Celaena seeing the thing in the library and yeets on out of there. Would you like to deliver that line?
No, you're clearly part of the youths. You delivered it perfectly.
Thanks. We can tell Celaena is in denial, and really I should have put denial as a theme for this episode because we see it a lot. She is walking away when this quote happens. The person outside the library probably had nothing to do with the king, Celaena told herself as she walked, still not sprinting down the hall to her room. This is heavy sarcasm. She probably is sprinting. She's telling us because she's unreliable that she's not sprinting.
Yeah.
This moment is emblematic of her unwillingness to listen to the call to action that the fates are trying to signal. There are so many times in this episode that fate is like, hey, you over there?
Hey.
Celaena's like, I can't hear you.
Fate is basically catcalling her, and she's just like, no, thank you. I will have none of this.
Not at all. There is also this hilarious meta moment before Celaena proceeds through the rest of the chapter. She is back in her bedroom after the library. Quote, Celaena entered her bedroom just as the lunar eclipse was beginning and groaned. Of course there's an eclipse, she grumbled. I appreciated that on SJM's part.
It is. I mean, I do too. I love it when SJM can kind of poke fun at her own writing, which she'll do much more later. But of course, where does Celaena go? She goes to meet Elena, and I can't wait for book 3 when we can stop calling Celaena and Elena because it's still too confusing for me. Anyway, so she goes down to see Elena. Quote, if she showed up, then it would seem like she was willing to do another one of Elena's tasks, and the word knew that she had enough on her hands right now. Okay, so going back to one of the themes, and I almost made it a question of the week, but we'd be answering it the whole time, so it's a theme. But in this moment, it's a question. Is there a willingness for destiny? Does Celaena, clearly she has no willingness for destiny. And can you even have a willingness for destiny? And what defines destiny and who defines destiny? when you have a book like Quicksilver, where fates and destiny are very clearly, you know who it is, who's deciding that. Here you just kind of have this idea of destiny that we're going to see over and over. And is it wrong for someone to just kind of say, hey, I don't need this thrusted upon me?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think people like the idea of destiny because it gives them purpose in life.
Mm-hmm.
And this also makes me think of Danielle L. Jensen's Fate of Saga of the Unfated. Their entire lives have been sketched out. And in A Fate Inked in Blood, actually, I think in A Curse Carved in Bone, it's something to the effect of the gods aren't writing your story. They just know you well enough that they know the decisions you're going to make in any situation.
Yeah.
So they can predict what your decisions will be. Is that true? Is that how people define destiny? I don't think so.
It ends up being interesting because destiny is being forced upon her, right?
Right.
And that's something we've seen in literature over and over again, right? Like, is one born with greatness, or is greatness thrusted upon them?
Right.
So there's going to be an ongoing theme.
Right. And this resistance to destiny is something we've seen in SJM's works as well. Like, obviously, this was the first one, but we also saw it in Crescent City.
We finally get to meet Mort. Quote, staring at her with gleaming metal eyes, the bronze skull clicked its tongue. It had a tongue. I kind of want to go over from the theme from the first episode of saying, like, sentient objects or inanimate objects are sentient, and they're quite literally alive in this point. And then everyone loves Mort.
He is a funny character. It helps that the narrator gives him like a Bostonian accent in the audiobook.
Yeah.
When Celaena first meets Mort, she thinks, quote, yes, this was certainly, absolutely, undeniably impossible, far more unlikely and incomprehensible than anything Elena had ever said or done. So again, in quick succession, we are seeing Celaena continues to deny what is plainly in front of her. And we as readers can see this, right? We're like, well, he just spoke. You heard it. We've read it. So it must be real. Celaena wants to pretend it's not. That should be a red flag about all of her assumptions.
Yes.
She will tell whatever narrative brings her the most comfort.
I also appreciate just because it's a fantasy book doesn't mean the characters won't be surprised.
Right. Yes. I do appreciate that.
I do appreciate no, like, magic exists. There was a whole, like, dog demon that was summoned, but talking head knocker thing, it's like, at least there's limits of what she's willing to
This pushed her over the edge.
Yeah, it did. And in my opinion, I feel like this is very clearly something that SJM added in this book without any kind of idea from the first book. I highly doubt that there was, maybe by the end of editing, she knew Mort was going to come to pass. But it's so, I was here the whole time. And I have a quote for that. You have no idea how loud and tiresome you've been these past few months with all your running down here and slaying foul beasties. I kept quiet until I thought you'd witnessed enough strange things that you could accept my existence. But apparently I am to be disappointed. It's just really convenient.
It is extremely convenient. I will say that either it could be that Mort was never supposed to exist because Elena was going to be here, and then she realized things would be too easy if Elena was there, so she had to withdraw Elena.
Yeah.
Have someone speak as Elena, which is why Mort exists. Or it's a convenient add-on. Or, because I think about this from The Woman Who Shall Not Be Named, in an interview after Order of Phoenix came out from the Harry Potter series, I remember someone saying, like, shouldn't Harry have been able to see the whatever the invisible horses are at the end of Goblet of Fire? And she's like, yes, technically, because he had seen Cedric die.
Oh, yeah.
However, it was at the end of the book and it was too hard to introduce a new concept.
I respect it. I don't respect her. She's a horrible person. But I respect that. It's like kind of like, you know what? No. Like, yes,
right.
And I'm not going to get into it. We're going to just blame trauma on him not realizing it.
Right. And so Mort could also be the same thing. There just wasn't room for him in Throne of Glass.
Yeah.
So she said, Crown of Midnight.
Yeah, and I think that there's also to the point of like Elena being here, like she cannot speak to Elena because then we find out that Elena's speaking to Nehemia, and that's double deceitful. So it ends up another layer of deceit and everyone plotting against her. And Nehemia and Elena are on my shit list right now. Both are dead.
Yes.
Won't stop me from being pissed. SJM does do a great job of laying out in the clues of what's to come. Like, I think that since we know that her identity is going to be revealed at the end of the book, SJM is really going hard on some of these clues. And as a first-time reader, you may not kind of understand what's happening, but knowing what we know, it's just fantastic. Quote, "What's your name?" "Celaena Sardothien," she ground out. The skull barked a laugh. "Oh, that is too funny. The funniest thing I've heard in centuries."
I love this moment because I distinctly remember the first time I read this book that I thought Mort didn't believe Celaena was Celaena Sardothien, as in the greatest assassin that's of, Otterlin's greatest assassin. Now I know, like, oh, he actually knows her real identity.
Yeah.
And that's why he's laughing.
Great setup for SJM. Great. Letting the reader assume whatever they want to assume.
Yep.
As we know, SJM loves setting the scene, particularly with lighting, and I'm noticing that a lot more in this book, and it does not stop here. Quote, "The tomb was filled with foggy light." Foggy light is going to be a hint that we're not going to be getting the full truth. Things are not entirely illuminated in the scene.
I love that you brought this up. So I wanted to add on top of that, she's trying to see the truth, but she's also willfully ignoring things. So of course shit's foggy because she can't make up her mind. And even though she gets close to the truth tonight, she never considers that it's actually already happened or a true possibility. So for example, quote, "If the king ever learned of the word marks' power, if he knew it could summon creatures as Cain had done, he could unleash endless evil upon Aurelia, and his plans would become even more deadly." Yeah, that's already happened, Celaena.
Yeah.
Don't think about it as that it hasn't happened. That's just another case of denial.
Yeah, it's going. Celaena is going to be getting a lot of confusing information in the scene, and she's not going to know what to do with it. Again, we can see it in the way that SJM describes the moment and how Celaena is feeling without having to say, "Celaena felt confused." Quote, "Celaena had a feeling of standing in front of a cresting wave." And again, we've talked about water being cleansing and giving truth. So just imagine this truth wave coming right at you.
I want to continue that quote because I think, to your point, the truth is very, very intimidating. And because of that, Celaena wants to put a stop to it. Quote, "Celaena had a feeling of standing in front of a cresting wave, waiting for it to break. It could wait. The message could wait. The oncoming burden could wait for another moment or two of freedom." And this is just reinforcing Celaena's ultimate motivation for avoiding the truth and clarity. She wants freedom, and in her mind, freedom equals avoiding destiny, avoiding the truth of her past, avoiding the truth of what's happening in Otterlin. She doesn't want to be burdened by these things. And Celaena right now is acting like, quote unquote, if I can't see it, then it's not real. Another example, Celaena thinks about the myth about Damaris and Gavin being able to see truth when he wielded Damaris, and she ultimately is like, that's like a bunch of nonsense. Again, Celaena.
Just like the last book, we are getting Elena's tomb described, and we are seeing that she is still stripped of her armor, which holds meaning. Quote, "Elena had said that she was a warrior too, but her armor was nowhere to be seen. Where had it gone? It was probably lying forgotten in a castle somewhere in the kingdoms. Forgotten, the way legend had reduced the fierce warrior princess to nothing more than a damsel in a tower, whom Gavin had rescued." Clothing is very similar. It's, defines a warrior. We see Celaena wearing dresses as a weapon later on in this episode. We've seen her do that before. And we see how she's taken seriously when she's wearing her black clothes. But when she's Lady Lillian walking about, she's not going to be taken seriously. And it's just that ongoing theme that women are constantly forgotten. And, I wonder to some degree, is Celaena almost reflecting on Elena's legacy as more reason why she shouldn't try to step in? Because women are forgotten, women are cast aside.
I think that's an excellent point, that like, what's the point of helping if no one's going to, if I don't get, not that
honor.
She needs the credit, but like, yeah, if I don't get the honor of being recognized, of sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
Yeah, absolutely. At this point, Celaena is being instructed by Elena through Mort, and it reminds me of someone, quote, "As the king's champion, you are now in a position of power. You can make a difference in the lives of many." We are going to have a lot of mirrors between Celaena and Dorian, and this is very similar of what we've been saying of Dorian, and I think Celena's even kind of pointed out to him as well, of like, you have power. You are in a power position. You should do something with it. Now, while I scold Dorian, I am giving Celaena grace.
Yes. He's had a silver spoon in his mouth, whereas she had that forcefully ripped from her and then she was thrown in a river.
Yeah.
So I understand. It is, though, still a double standard.
Half. Like one fourth standard.
I don't blame her. And I do think Elena and Nehemia go too hard on her.
Yeah.
Given the trauma that she's endured. Nevertheless, I understand the point that Celaena is enforcing a double standard with Dorian.
Yeah. As we'll learn, people are using her name to gather forces for the rebel cause. Even if she does not have a kingdom to rule, she has a name, and that is enough to stir movement. So even though she may not have power, her name does.
Yeah. Yep. There's another breadcrumb tied to this same quote that I'm going to read. Quote, "If I could leave you in peace, I would, but you have lived your life aware that you will never escape certain burdens. Whether you like it or not, you are bound to the fate of this world." Now, we, as first-time readers, don't know necessarily what this means. And unfortunately, I was already spoiled for Celaena's true identity when I first started the series. So I was like, oh, it's a clue. So I don't know what I would think as a first-time reader, but I think as a first-time reader, you might be like, huh?
Yeah.
What are you saying?
I mean, luckily, SJM's given us enough clue, has given us enough mystery about her time as an assassin at this point that we don't even question what her life was like beforehand.
It's true.
I want to get into another theme that I'm seeing that we did not list under themes, but it kind of goes so hand in hand with destiny and fate, and that is responsibility. Celaena is told it is your fate and your responsibility. I am a big believer in this idea of social responsibility, and that we all have a social responsibility to do what we can to uplift and help one another. Like that is important to me. But when it's done like this, I'm just like, oh shit, do we have a responsibility? Because when does it become an actual responsibility, and when is it something that you're just kind of putting off? Because when I say we all have a social responsibility, to me, that is, okay, well, I'm going to vote in a direction that tries to do what I can to make this a world that helps others, versus I could say I have a social responsibility, so I should go and be volunteering every weekend. There's degrees. I have no answer. And again, who the fuck is giving this fate?
Right. And who gets to determine your responsibility in a context that benefits everyone except maybe yourself? Because really what this fate and this responsibility are is you need to sacrifice everything about you for the sake of the world. That's a lot to ask of someone.
And that way we're getting a lot of like Jesus imagery with Celaena, right? Like she's getting the, okay, quick spoiler right here. I'm not going to remember it for the end of the episode. So spoiler, you've been warned. The way that Celaena sacrifices her power is the way you can compare Jesus sacrificing his life. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So there's a lot of, hey, you're the savior. I mean, it's the same way that with Harry Potter's expected to die. There's a lot of things that are, greatness is thrusted upon our heroes.
Yes. And they sometimes against their will have to make the ultimate sacrifice. And that's a lot to ask of anyone. Yeah. Yeah. Especially an 18-year-old young woman.
Yep. Celaena, though, understandably pushes back. Quote, "There is no such thing as fate, says the girl who spent a year in Endovir, says the girl who knows that the gods care no more for our lives than we care for an insect beneath our feet." So that's Celaena kind of going back to Mort being like, so says you type thing. And she's like, hey, I've been in a situation where no one gave a fuck about me. Mm-hmm. If I am supposed to be this amazing, legendary person that you guys are trying to summon, then where the hell were you for that year?
Yeah.
And I talk a lot about this concept in therapy, and that I'm gonna say what I said, and then we'll do what I did last night. The concept is God only gives his hardest battles to his toughest soldiers. Last night, Amy corrected this because I wrote accidentally, God gives his toughest battles to his hardest battles to his toughest soldiers. So, both can be true. But I find that this is a bullshit, an intense bullshit notion. I'm sorry if it brings you peace. I am sorry. I don't mean to be taken away from you, but I just think about the amount of innocent children, people, babies who are going through hell on earth, and then, but you're just God's little toughest soldier. I don't agree with that. And I think that this is a hint to that larger conversation of Celaena kind of saying, hey, how the fuck is it supposed to matter that I suffered and you're telling me that this is all part of a greater plan? Like, bullshit. And I think that Nehemia will push her on this as well, the concept of fate. Mm-hmm. This isn't the way to approach her. This is not it.
No, I think they would have had better luck if they'd just given her food and just said, you could have more of this if we all stay alive.
You want chocolate cake? Yeah, I can give you chocolate cake.
The difference between Nehemia and Celaena, and why there's such a disconnect between the two, is because Nehemia has ultimately accepted her role in fate, in destiny, and she's accepted the bad parts of it as well. Celaena is like, you didn't give me the good, I don't want the bad. Mm-hmm. Goodbye. She wants to make her own fate, and I can't blame her. And the fact that Nehemia can't understand that or respect that is part of the problem.
And it's why Nehemia dies.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think part of Celaena fighting this left and right, I mean, who are the gods in this world, right? Some of the fae, older fae, and those are people, essentially. Not people, but you know what I mean? Like, they're actual living, breathing things that can dictate everything. And, at one point, Elena was a living, breathing person. So it's not like you're getting this god deciding things. So because Celaena has fought that throughout the whole thing, I think that's why she lived, versus Nehemia, who was just like, all right, this is my fate. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to question your plan.
Yeah, it's a dumb plan.
It's a dumb plan. Hey, quick note on your plan. Do I have to die? Just saying. I just want to pitch that. What if I live?
Honestly, I don't think you're thinking creatively enough. Let's think outside the box.
It's like you come to this meeting with great options, solid choices. Might I propose another one?
I have notes.
Yeah. So let's get more into this idea about fate. This is Celaena reflecting more on Elena. Quote, where were she in her ridiculous quests when the world truly needed them? When Terrasen's heroes were cut down or hunted and executed by Adarlan's armies? Again, what is fate? Who is fate? At what point did fate decide, again, hey, what's a great solution here? If we let everyone die and we let this child be our savior here.
Yeah, I thought a lot about this last night as I was taking notes while you were right beside me.
I was like, did you? Because I was right next to you and I didn't see a lot of thinking.
I might have actually written this before. No, I wrote this note before you showed up. That's
okay.
Why.
No, you didn't. Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah,
okay, you did. Okay.
Is fate a burden or a boon? And I think fate depends on whether or not you have hope. If you have hope, then fate is the greatest thing that there is, because there's someone else influencing the outcome and you have hope that the outcome is positive.
Yeah.
But it's a burden if you don't have hope, right? And ultimately, I think if we take Celaena's point of view, fate is subjecting yourself to somebody else's will. It is not you having ownership of your life and having the autonomy or the agency to make choices. And I think just because of my religious history, that's something that's always in tension, this idea of predestination. Has my life already been determined, and what I'm going to do already be determined? And do I still have the agency to choose otherwise?
That's a big thing in religion and Christianity, where there was like some more breakoffs, was a sector believing in predestination. And that's hard because I spiral in my own beliefs, but it's like, well, what's the point of, what's the other thing? Human sin, like when we're baptized, I don't know. What's the point of like humans being able to go make their own choices if that's then like, what's the point? And that's kind of where it comes down to. So then it's like, oh, well, if I'm destined to go to heaven, then I can go kill someone now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's a slippery slope. The only fated things I want are the good ones. Like, give me a fated mate. That's what I would like, please. Another theme and question is going to be if Celaena is a coward. And I hate it. I hate that people are picking on her. People being Elena and Nehemia.
And Mort.
And Mort. Quote. Yeah, because this is Mort who's saying this to Celaena. Quote. You're that selfish, that cowardly. Why did you come down here tonight, Celaena? To help us all or just to help yourself? All right, like Celaena was in the library, saw something scary, and went down to tell her potential ghost mommy figure. You know, she knows that's her great descendant. That's her great something.
Mm-hmm.
So like, hey, yeah, she is a little scared. She did go down there. She even knew, thinking, shit, I hope I'm not given another task. Still goes down there, is given a task. She's allowed to be scared, and she's going to be called a coward so many times. I don't like it. I feel like other ways of spurring her on.
Yeah, I think everyone needs therapy and a little bit of self-reflection, because Mort, you are a fucking door knocker. What do you know? What do you know? You get to just watch the Ritterek run by.
Yeah.
Like, anyway.
I agree.
I'm done.
Everyone, let's take a sip.
Even Aelin would pause to catch her breath. We'll be right back.
A fun fact about me is that Spanish was my first language, but I actually lost almost all of it growing up and into adulthood. And it has been my goal the last year to learn Spanish again. My tutor said, hey, you need to do some learning on your off time because you're not going to suddenly learn Spanish once a week with me. And I've been using Babbel in between my tutoring lessons. And I have to say, Maria Jose is very impressed.
That's because with Babbel, you can start speaking a new language or a forgotten language with confidence thanks to its conversation-based techniques that quickly teaches you useful words and phrases.
There's over a dozen languages available to learn at your own pace so that you can achieve your goals with material tailored to your individual proficiency level, interests, and time availability. I love Babbel because it's been handcrafted by over 200 language experts. Babbel's languages are voiced by real native speakers and built with science-backed cognitive tools like spaced repetition and interactive features to fit any learning style. I cannot emphasize how important it is to actually hear a real person speak the language you're trying to learn.
Staying motivated to learn a new language has never been easier thanks to real-time feedback, progress trackers, and handy visualizations in only 10 to 15 minutes a day on Babbel's mobile app or website.
With over 16 million subscriptions sold, Babbel's 14 award-winning language courses are backed by a 20-day money-back guarantee. So get talking with Babbel.
We want you to learn another language, so we're teaming up with Babbel to gift you 55% off subscriptions, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/booktalk.
Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/booktalk, spelled BABBEL.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK.
Babbel.com/booktalk.
Rules and restrictions may apply.
Click instantly to book an appointment because Jack needs instant gratification.
If I can't get the appointment the next day, I won't go because I get too scared in my mind. But I don't have to worry about doctors being in network or anything because they have more than 100,000 doctors across every specialty from mental health to dental health, primary care, urgent care, and you can filter to see which doctors take your insurance.
The filters also let you look at who's nearby, who's a good fit for the medical needs you have, and if they're highly highly rated by verified patients.
Once you find the right doctor, you can see their actual appointment openings and choose a time slot that works for you, like 9 a.m. the next day. And appointments are made through ZocDoc, so it happens so fast, usually just 24 hours to 72 hours of booking.
You can even score same-day appointments, which I know sometimes there's a need.
So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/BookTok to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today.
That's ZocDoc.com/BookTalk. BookTalk. ZocDoc.com/BookTalk.
Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
Imagine this. The best pasta sauce you have ever tasted sits abandoned on a plate. Wasted sauce. That is a tragedy. If only you had used Barilla al Bronzo pasta. Its bronze-cut texture holds your sauce and scoops up every last drop. The Italians call that scarpetta. Capture sauce the Italian way. Barilla al Bronzo. Click or tap the banner to find out more.
We go into chapter 7, and Celaena is in her room, and she's reflecting on what Mort said. And honestly, she comes to the conclusion pretty quickly, so good on her. Quote, "She didn't want to admit it, but Mort was right. She'd gone to the tomb just to have Elena deal with the creature in the hallway, to be reassured that she wouldn't have to do anything." Why does that make her a coward? Why does that make her looking for help, looking for reassurance? And I said it a little bit before, looking towards what could be like a mother figure. Why is that considered cowardly, of coming down of saying like, hey, I saw something really scary, it made my necklace glow, do I need to be concerned? And they're just like, hey, you cowardly little bitch ass punk, you got some fate to deal with.
It's basically Otterlin is toxic masculinity to the nth degree.
Even the doorknobs
Even the door knockers have toxic masculinity.
That's how bad it is.
That is how bad it is. So just before this moment, Celaena, when Celaena is admitting that Mort was probably right, she notices the, quote, pale gray light seeping through the curtains because it's the next morning and she's lying in bed. Now, at the end of the previous chapter, toward the end of the conversation with Mort, she also notices, quote, inside the tomb, the light had faded. The moon was almost fully covered now. And that was right before she told Mort, don't you dare fucking talk about my parents. And so to your point from earlier, Jack, light has this really important role where it's disappearing when she's in denial, when she allows her anger and hurt to override her logical thinking, when she becomes emotional, justifiably emotional, by the way, and the light returns when she's willing to accept truth.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. What's extra frustrating for me is that Nehemia and Elena both know the truth about Celaena and are trying to get her to act. That's manipulation. Even if it's for good, even if it's, because they're nervous that if they talk to her about it, she's going to say no, thank you. They're keeping the truth behind her, away from her. They are withholding. And that is not friendship. And that is not kind because Celaena's got a lot of trauma. Quote, Elena had just said she had to find it. She hadn't said anything about destroying it. Nothing about facing the king, which was a relief, Celaena supposed. She doesn't want to face the king. She doesn't want to face the man who ordered her parents' death. She's literally, we can see her being like, okay, well, I guess I can do what she wants me to do, but so long as I don't actually have to face the king. And what they're trying to do is everything in their power to get her to face the king. And again, just because she doesn't want to face the king doesn't mean that manipulation is the way to do it to get her there.
Right. They lack sympathy because all their parents were alive.
Yeah,
right? Celaena is really the only character that we're encountering, which I think is rare, whose parents aren't dead. Or Celena's parents are dead. No one else's parents are dead.
Yeah.
Which sometimes it could be the complete opposite in books where it's everybody's part of the dead parent club.
Yeah.
That's not the case here. They're thinking globally. They're thinking the fate of the world. They're not appealing to the child within Celaena who is traumatized, who lost her parents, who lost everything that she knew. And that's why it doesn't work.
Yeah. And I also hate that it's the women who are manipulating her. I hate that it's the two women that one woman, that Nehemia, who she finds the most comfort in, the one who she considers to be her best friend, and Elena, who's like this mother almost figure. Amy has two fingers up.
You said the things I wanted to say. Best friend.
Yeah.
Mother.
Yeah.
No wonder why Celaena doesn't like other women.
Yeah, and no wonder she's spending all of her time with Cale. Yeah. He's someone who does not lie to her. He is someone who has been there for her, who shows concern and has not lied. We asked a question to our listeners, and I want to come up. I just want to start shit. So continuing on. While Celaena is out and about, she's running errands, and again, the weather, her surroundings, it reflects her and her struggles. Quote, "Still, Celaena wished it were summer, since the wet streets soaked the hem of her ice blue gown, and it was so cold that not even her white fur cloak could keep out the chill." We've talked about before where the cold winter has been a representation of her trauma. If you're like, I don't remember that was season 1, should go listen to all that all over again.
Increase our numbers. Season.
Yeah. Go increase our numbers. Weather tarnishes clothes because it represents her own trauma. And that trauma is essentially ruining a perfect a picture perfect image, which is her beautiful gown. And you can see that with how Elena is challenging Celaena as well. Like she's being weathered down. She's this pretty girl who's being beaten emotionally.
She is emotionally being beaten, kind of like Elsa from Frozen before it was a Disney IP. And I bring this up because this clothing is very Ice Queen-esque, which we talked about last week, how Celaena is constantly compared to icy, cold related imagery. Yes, on one hand, she's closed off, she's unmoved by fate, but even though there's this perception of ice and cold around her, she's actually miserable. She actually does not enjoy this situation. People can't see that she's suffering as well.
So, of course, Celaena is going to go to seek comfort in the things that bring her joy. And in this instant, it's her time with Cale. She has brought Cale to run her errands. They're both out and about. And you have this moment, quote, "Cale raised his brows. So I'm just here for decoration. Be grateful I consider you a worthy accessory." It's funny. It's a very lighthearted moment. It kind of goes back to something that I thought in the first book where I was saying that men just kind of exist for her own enjoyment. And, but again, I would come hang out with the hot captain of the guard too, if everyone else was being mean to me.
This is not the only moment where Cale is considered an accessory. And I want to call out a few more instances because I do think it's important to understand Celaena and how she views relationships right now. So the quote Jac just read is right after she thinks about, quote, "how she adored this avenue where all the fine things in the world were sold and bartered. Jewelers, hatters, clothiers, confectionaries, cobblers. What are these things? Retail therapy." It's they are all items that equate to Celaena's coping mechanisms. They are distractions. And right now, Cale as an accessory is a distraction from her fate, which says a lot about what's going to happen moving forward. This is all emphasized later on, again, as Celaena and Cale are getting closer to the tea house. Celaena tells him, quote, "This is the part where you shut your mouth and pretend to be a woolly-headed bit of decoration. Shouldn't be too hard for you." Which I just like because it's a nice reversal of expected gender norms.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, Cale, you're dumb.
It's a lot of shut up and look pretty.
Yep. And I'm okay with that.
Another reoccurring image we're going to see is Celaena willing to risk things for Cale. Quote, she should have taken the carriage, given how cold it was and given the fact of her now sodden gown. But she'd foolishly wanted to walk, to see the city on the arm of the captain of the guard. So in this moment, it's just, she's risking her clothes, but later on she'll risk it all for him. It's shows a lot that she's willing to risk her trauma, like the winter weather, and to brave it. We know how much she hates it, to spend time with him, essentially. And we're going to see her do that over and over.
Yeah. Which, I mean, Celaena, she's 18 years old. She just wants to be with the cute boy who doesn't lie to her. And I don't blame her.
Girl, same. I'm 35. I would love to be with a cute boy that doesn't lie to me. We should all want to
brave the sweltering heat.
Yeah. I'll do it for the one.
For the one.
So we meet Archer, and I love the dynamic between Celaena and Archer because we've known Celaena to use the feminine as a weapon. So what happens when she meets her match? Now, in this moment, Celaena actually pretends to bump into him and is like, my, you? And you have this moment, quote, Cale even pulled her to him, a supporting hand on her back to keep her from toppling down the stairs. She looked up through her lashes, and then she's using her feminine wilds. She's using it as a weapon. She's trying to be all dainty, like, who, me? And Archer is a whole different battle that she's never played before. Quote, Archer, who had been and still was the most beautiful man she'd ever seen. Not handsome, beautiful. His skin glowed golden even in the height of winter, and his green eyes, gods above and word save me. His mouth was a work of art too, all sensual lines and softness that begged to be explored. So what happens when feminine charms, when flirting, that femininity is matched against masculine beauty? It then becomes a battle of sex, because if she's got like, I think I've said it before. One time I was working at a frozen yogurt shop, and this really attractive like baseball player was trying to get free yogurt, and he was like trying to flirt with me, and I'm like, the fuck you will.
You make money.
You make money, and I'm cute. I do that shit. You don't do that shit to me. For us, it did not turn into a sex match. For us, it turned into me being a bitchy ass 20-something-year-old until he left. But in this moment, we're going to get a lot of push and pull. Just like how Celaena uses her clothes as a weapon, so does Archer. And she's going to, while she projects the ultimate feminine with her pretty gowns and later on with her saucy red dress, he is masculine incarnate. He is described as having, quote, expertly tailored tunic and pants, knee-high boots, a heavy cloak. None of it screamed wealth, but she could tell it was all expensive. Unlike some of the flashier and softer male courtesans, Archer's appeal had always been more rugged, masculine. Even his beautiful face radiated a sense of maleness that had her struggling to remember what she'd planned to say. It's the feminine versus the masculine, but like, what if the masculine was hot, essentially, and knew that they were hot? And they're both there using their tools. And I love this moment where she calls out his masculinity, because later on, when she says, hey, I'm supposed to kill you, he cowers like a little bitch. Not like a bitch. He cowers like a scared little boy.
That's right.
And he and that masculinity will disappear real fast. So the battle, like I said, turns into a battle of sex, because it's like, you're too hot, I'm too hot, let's duke this out. Quote, she couldn't help herself. She looked up at him from beneath lowered lashes and purred, I'm not 13 anymore. Archer gave her a slow, sensual smile as he took her in from head to toe, saying, it would certainly seem that way. It's the I'm legal now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's I know what she's doing, but it's kind of like, hey, remember when I just went through, when I started puberty? I'm grown now.
It's gross, because it's like, were you into her then too?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she described him as like, at one point she'll say like, he let me practice flirting on him. It's just the whole like, I'm now legal is not a sexy thing. I know when I was really young, in school. So when I was 17, I was in college for like the first couple months before I turned 18. And I remember like the guys in my classes who were, and I was at community college at this point, who were much older, were making jokes and quote unquote counting down the days until I turned 18.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Oh no, it was disgusting how much the guys were like almost 17, almost 18. And at the moment I felt special. At the moment I felt important. At the moment I felt sexy. And what made me feel sexy was infantilization.
Yeah.
Like childhood. And
lecherous men.
Yeah, like it was not sexy. They're preying on a child,
a minor.
And then once I turned 18, it is amazing how much of these men stopped talking to me. That's why I went to MMA, so I can learn how to kick ass.
That's right.
Yep. The battle of sex is thrown off by old pains and emotions, though, because it's kind of like, oh, you're horny? What about Sam? How do you feel about that? And in this moment, she's kind of thrown by it. She's, emotions hit her hard. And so she looks for intimacy and connection. Quote, she put a hand on Cale's arm, suddenly needing just to touch him to make sure he was still there, needing to stop talking about this. So she seeks connection and reassurance through Cale. And especially after opening up to him about Sam, it's just that combo of, I need to make sure he's still there and he's safe, / I need someone to help ground me.
Yeah, it's an interesting moment because obviously as readers, we probably are like, yes, she's touching Cale. Cale is her anchor. Yay. But at the same time, Sam continues to be this phantom that dysregulates her and haunts her relationships, even at the mere mention of him.
Yeah.
She's not overcome that trauma.
No.
Which I think is important to recognize because she's holding on to that and has not let Sam go.
I mean, and then people are going to hate what I'm about to say. I'm not saying that Celaena wasn't in love with Sam, but how much of the tragic and her not letting go is the fact that he's another person that she quote unquote let die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how much can you really love someone at 16 or 17?
I know people are raging here. Like, I married my high school sweetheart. And I'm sure the love that you had as an adult grew so much more too.
Right. Your love evolves over time.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to disqualify love at 16 or 17. What I'm just saying is you've only scratched the surface. And I think to your point, he has become equivalent to her parents.
Yes.
That is why she's so attached to him, because he was killed because of his connection to her.
I mean, it's the same way that she's going to absolutely lose it when Nehemia dies. Now, Nehemia is her friend, but like, they've only been friends for like 4 months. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that I'm willing to not be sad over friends with 4 months, but it's like, I would have a different reaction to a friend I've had for less than half a year versus I'm not even going to say you. No, I didn't even want to say you. But we both know, like, one I could handle, one I would not. So it will come to that Sam question later.
Now, we switch to Cale's point of view, and I love getting Cale's point of view when he is feeling threatened by Archer because it's very entertaining. Quote, during the whole exchange, all he'd really been able to think about was how much he wanted to slam Archer's pretty face against the stone building. Cale has just witnessed Archer and Celaena's battle of sex, and he is not happy that anyone is sparring with Celaena that is not him. So remember this, put a pin in it.
Let alone with sex.
Like, let alone with sex.
Innuendoed him. She's in his bedroom every night.
She has innuendoed him in her brain.
Yeah, but not as like, I'm legal now.
Right, exactly.
Celaena defends Archer to Cale, though, once they kind of they leave and he's, pissy about it. And Celaena says, quote, he's one of the few people who actually likes me, or he did years ago. Ooh, let's hyper focus on this one. One of the few people who actually likes me. This is showing us how isolated Celaena was during her time in the Assassin's Keep, and that she's willing to do anything for the people who quote unquote like her, or rather are willing to tolerate her, which then if anyone actually shows her an ounce of affection, it turns into something so much more. Like with Sam and Nehemia, it ends up being, wait, you more than like me, you care for me, and now I'm so much more attached to you. Look at Asher. By the end of this book, she's still going to struggle to kill him.
Archer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
She's still going to struggle to kill him, though. Point stands.
Yeah, no, your point is great. She has been so emotionally starved her entire life since her parents died. It's not surprising that she's willing to accept love crumbs.
Yeah.
Now, Chaol, despite how Celaena feels about Archer, Chaol tries to comment on Archer's pet name for Celaena, Lena, and he thinks, word keep him, it bothered the hell out of him. Now, pet names imply familiarity, but they also imply ownership because they're a pet, right? And Archer immediately, upon seeing Celaena, does not say her name. He uses her pet name.
And it was his to hers, not like
his to her,
not even like I go by Lena.
Right, exactly. And it's not like she had a returning chur.
Oh, sure. That's what I call my car.
I know. Anyway, so there is some ownership here. Chaol doesn't like that because it is very one-sided and it is very Archer asserting authority over Celaena.
Good point.
Now, Chaol doesn't have the same reaction when Chaol thinks about Sam, even though he knows Celaena, quote unquote, loved Sam. Why? Because he's dead. So he's not a threat.
Also, she's not like horny for Sam.
Right.
She's lamenting of Sam.
She's lamenting.
Yeah.
If he was alive, I think he would be jealous. Even if Sam was an ex. I think he would feel threatened and would not like the idea that Celaena has felt love for someone other than Chaol.
I don't know. I mean, I think Chaol can respect love, but he doesn't respect this sexual side as much, unless it's like to him. Because there was that moment where Dorian went to her bedroom in book 1 and he was like, does he even know that she's a virgin? You know, and I think that there's this level of, now call it respect or you can call it hyperfixation on purity. But I think that Chaol can understand love, but when it comes to casual sex and Celaena, that's where his mind doesn't compute.
That's a good point. I think that's a good point. Well, to everyone's relief, especially Chaol's, Celaena admits that she doesn't like the pet name Lena. And so, of course, because these two have this kind of bickering, teasing relationship, Chaol threatens to use it to piss her off. Celaena says in response, don't you even think about it. Chaol's smile spread, and the flicker of relief turned to something that punched him in the gut when she smiled back. So first off, Celaena not liking a pet name equates in my mind she doesn't want to be owned. Also, Chaol's feeling of love and affection for Celaena are violent. This should be a sign that things aren't necessarily going to go well. Being in love should not feel like death or fighting.
Yeah. This just reminds me, whenever I introduce myself to a guy who I think is attractive, I introduce myself as Jacqueline.
I know,
you know that. You've seen it.
Yep.
You've seen it plenty of times. That's like my first, that's going to be someone's first clue of whether I'm interested in, or at least being like, oh, he's attractive. Every once in a while, Jack will come out, and that's just more out of a habit, but then I'll quickly switch it up to
But I prefer to be
Jacqueline.
called Jacqueline. My friends call me Jack.
Yeah, be like, but you, sir, can call me Jacqueline. Why? Because men struggle
using a male sounding name.
Well, they jerk off, yes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, Jack. Yeah.
You had the hand motion with it too.
I did.
Take a sip.
Sip.
I tried the vanilla Soylent today for the first time by adding a ton of matcha powder, and it was very vanilla-y. Which was fine. Just not what I was expecting.
I almost bought myself Soylent, but I couldn't because I think
that's
too
fair.
much.
I figured.
And I was like,
they are good.
Are they?
I think so. I like them. I've always liked them. Specifically the chocolate one.
It's funny because after one time, I don't know why it annoyed me so much. I think it was like I can't remember. It's been so long, but there was like a moment where he was like, it was morning. We had just, and he was like, I'm going to go get us some breakfast. And I was like, okay. And he was like, Soylent. I'm like, I don't want Soylent. You just offered me breakfast. You're doing your Soylent. And then it was always like, oh, I'm going to go make us something. And I'm like, you're putting Soylent in a blender.
That's not making something.
With ice. No. And then he's like, just try it. It's so good. No, I want brunch.
Look, I don't blame you. But the actual bottles of pre-made stuff
are nifty.
I have a bunch at my place.
You're
welcome.
May you change my opinion. May I think of you?
Yes,
now?
Think of me. Think of me.
Yeah.
Think of me.
Think of me. When we say
the smile on your face.
Okay. Yeah, I can hit those notes.
Thank you for listening to part 1 of this week's episode of Book Talk for Book Talk with Jac and Amy. Stick around for part 2, which airs on Thursday.
We encourage you to rate and subscribe to our show on your preferred podcast listening platform. We would also love to hear your thoughts based on today's conversation. You can submit your comments to our form at booktalkforbooktalk.com for a chance to have your feedback discussed during a future mini episode or a Patreon exclusive
If you're enjoying
episode.
the podcast, please visit our website, booktalkforbooktalk.com, to view our latest merch and learn about supporting the show through Patreon or Venmo. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube at the handle BookTalkForBookTalk. Bye.
Are you ready to do a podcast?
Not really, but okay. We're here.
Are we ever? Are we ever?
Never.
It feels like we've never done this every time.
Every time.
Well, I don't even know what I wrote.
I shortened it, but it's which expectations placed on our characters are new and which have been carried over from the previous book.
The reason, I mean, you saw some of my notes. It was like about destiny and fate. And everything, and I feel like some of her expectations were set in you. I'm answering it, so
yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get started.
Me. Take on me. Take on me. Okay.